from day one to year one. This is my journey of drifting a stock Mazda RX-8. Now, before I start, I've got to clarify something. Technically, the car started out stock, but as you can see, got a roll cage and seats and stuff. It's not stock anymore. But that's just the progression of a drift car, or any project car for that matter. However, there were a few important things that I needed to do to the car, and we'll get to that shortly. Now, the RX-8 is an all-around amazing car to drift and to drive. The chassis is basically built for racing, and a few small tweaks, it can be the perfect drift car for anyone from advanced to beginner. Speaking of beginner, here's my first ever drift event. We didn't have all the fancy recording stuff we do now, so it's mostly just phones and a GoPro just mounted. So here's some of those clips. As you can see, I wasn't able to link turns very well, and I almost ran into those concrete pylons, which was terrifying. So for the next event, the first thing I did was an angle kit. The angle kit is just Knuckles from RX-8 Drift Knuckles on Instagram. I'll leave a link to him below in the description. They were a little pricey, but way less than something like a WiseFab kit, which will set you back more than $2,500, which is a lot higher than most people's budget for their entire car. The only thing with these knuckles is you will need to run a spacer and make some minor adjustments to your firewall to get the wheels full lock without rubbing on the firewall. After the angle kit was a hydro e-brake. For the handbrake, looking at a dual caliber setup for the RX-8 will leave your wallet crying. So your options are pretty much limited to the WiseFab rear end, which will let you run dual calipers, or you can get a 4-piston caliper, which uses 2 of those pistons for braking and 2 for the e-brake. Both are good options, but what people for some reason don't think about is running your hydro in line, which is where you take the 2 lines running to the rear, tee them together, run them up to your hydro, and then run them back down to those lines and tee them back out. And that is a way cheaper option than either of those, the WiseFab or the 4-piston caliper. I think those are like $2,000. Of those 2 things though, the hydro or the angle kit is way more important than the e-brake. Garrett drifted without an e-brake for about a year. He just installed an e-brake, which I think was our last video, maybe 2 videos ago. So yeah, I mean, he did just fine without it. As you can tell by some of the videos, my car is evolving. I've got some underglow, which didn't last for long, and I've also got some different wheels. Those wheels are 16-inch wheels. I wouldn't actually recommend doing this. I kind of bought the wheels, put them on, realized they don't fit super well. I had to make some adjustments to the front calipers to make them fit. Basically, I just grinded the top of them off. Which is not recommended. It makes the walls thinner, makes your calipers weaker. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing it, but we're here. So what am I gonna do about it? I ran 215 45/16s for most of the year, and then just recently switched to 235 40/18s, which need to be pumped up to like 50 PSI to spin. But it's a lot of fun because your car is gonna start drifting a lot faster than when you were on the 215s, because you're getting a lot more grip, and the tires are going to last longer because you've got more surface area to actually wear those tires, and they're not going to blow out all the time. Let's take a second to talk about the problems with the RX-8. Obviously, the first problem being the Renesis, the rotary engine that comes with this car. Makes about 220 stock, according to Mazda, that is. I think on a dyno, a good engine will dyno at about 200 horsepower, but mine is not good. My highest compression rotor is 90, and the lowest one is about 60. Good is about 110, so you can just tell that it's not great. So yeah, but I would argue that a slow engine is really good for someone learning to drift, because you're going to end up using the momentum of the car to drift, and you're not going to be using the power of the engine to get out of turns or get out of drifts. And to be honest, as long as you take really good care of the engine, it will take care of you. Always premix, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, I never premix my car and I've made it to like 100,000 miles, but they aren't racing. If you're racing, you need to premix. It's really important. Once you get up there, as far as like tandeming goes, it leaves a little to be desired. You're going to need more power to catch up to the person you're chasing, which this engine doesn't provide, which is why I will be engine swapping my car. Comment below what engine you think I'll be putting in this car. I know I've said before it's going to be an FD engine from the RX-7, but it's not. It's going to be something else. So let me know what you guys think it's going to be. That video will be coming out soon, maybe in a couple of weeks. So yeah, look forward to that. Another issue you might run into with the RX-8 is the electric power steering. Mine worked great for about 10 months. Once I hit about month 11, it started getting super choppy when it got really hot, which kind of sucked because you'll throw the wheel and you can feel it kind of like kicking in a little bit, and it felt really weird. So I'll be switching to an E36 rack and pinion, which WiseFab makes a kit for doing that. I'll leave a link to the stuff you need to get below to do that. And then if you're gonna stick with the RX-8 engine, you could always just use like an MR2 pump or a Mini Cooper pump. Those are both electric power steering pumps. You just need to hook them up to voltage, and the computer inside the pump will handle the rest. So those are pretty good options if you're going to be sticking with a rotary engine. As of recently, I've begun making this car a true racing machine, including the Corbeau seats. I've also got a full roll cage. So in next week's episode, I'll be continuing to rip things out of the interior. I've still got my speakers, and I've got a bunch of wires that I don't need anymore because I unplugged a ton of modules, airbags, seat belts, stuff like that. And then I've also got a spoiler that I've had for a couple months now. I'll finally be throwing that on. So yeah, just so you don't miss out on any of those, subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified next week. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.